Earlier today, NATO announced that its allies were putting forces on standby and sending additional ships and fighter jets to Eastern Europe to enhance deterrence and defense in response to Russia's military buildup around Ukraine's borders. Also, the U.S. State Department yesterday ordered the departure of all family members of the U.S. Embassy out of Ukraine and issued level 4 travel advisories urging Americans not to travel to the country due to the increased threats of Russian military action and COVID-19. Joining me now to talk about the latest news on the escalating Russia-Ukraine tensions is Guy Taylor, National Security Team Leader at The Washington Times, who has been reporting on this story. Guy, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hi, Tony. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here with you.
So give us the latest update on the situation right now.
It's interesting. We see the Biden administration scrambling at the start of the news cycle again this week, similar to last week where we had Anthony Blinken suddenly doing shuttle diplomacy back in the region where he was in Kiev, and then later in the week held a summit with the Russian foreign minister. Now we have the administration stepping up, and the Pentagon has announced this afternoon that, in fact, the White House is putting 8,500 American troops on alert for a possible rush deployment to join other NATO forces in the Baltic states. It'll actually either be Poland or Romania. Not a lot of specifics yet on exactly where these troops will go, but and also when they will go. But what you see is a shift here where we could kind of criticize the administration for really not being strong enough yet and not really standing up to Putin, kind of pandering to the Russian president over Ukraine. We now see a shift where this announcement of troops is a little bit politically controversial for Biden. It's going to expose him. It's going to draw a lot more media attention and global media attention. I think that's the latest development. It's interesting to see how this is going to play out. And one key bit of context here for your viewers trying to unpack this, the United States already has about 4,000 troops stationed in Poland. The Polish government is very positive and pro-U.S. On both sides of the aisle, but especially in the Trump era, there was a movement in Poland to try and rename a base there Fort Trump. And there are another 4,000 NATO troops, and this is mostly Western European troops, peppered across the Baltic states. So that's just a bit of context when people start throwing around, wait, what are we doing? Where would these American troops go? It's not unprecedented. We're already there trying to protect democracies and help them stand up basic pro-democracy security apparatuses that protect each other and prevent wars and prevent basically the really authoritarian leading autocratic government in Moscow from trying to reclaim now democratic areas of the former Soviet Union.
So, Guy, is it your sense, based on what's happening today, as we saw last week, you just said it was kind of a nonchalant, well, we're going to talk this thing through. Is it a sense of urgency you see now or panic?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, it's going to depend on who you ask. I think if you ask Democrats who are trying to find a way to defend Biden, who looks pretty weak at this point after the chaos of the Afghanistan pullout and how that was handled last year, I think that they're going to try to defend him and say that it's a scramble, there's urgency. At the same time, I think you're seeing a swell now of administration critics, especially Republicans, although Republicans are a little bit divided in Washington now on their message. But really, Republicans, I think, are pointing out, look, Mr. President, you came into office talking about the importance of democracy, talking about how your administration was going to stand with Democratic allies, how your administration was going to hold this democracy summit for the world, and all of these things. And it's lip service because you're pandering to Iran, a tyrannical government in the Middle East. You're pandering to Putin. You're really not standing up to China very effectively. And here you have this great test to your sort of mantra of being this great pro-democracy president in this geopolitical fault line that is Ukraine, where the Russians are trying to come in. And now I think there's a bit of desperation where the administration is realizing that we're about this close to a possible Russian military incursion into Ukraine that won't just be a repeat of the 2014 incursion that saw the Russians reclaim just the Crimean Peninsula. I think Russia will try to cleave off half of Ukraine at this point.
Right.
And they'll leave Kiev in the west to the other side.
It won't be minor, whatever happens. Guy Taylor, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your insights on what is unfolding right before us.
It's a great program. Thank you so much for having me on.